And welcome to Gen V. Yeah, that's right. The boys are back in town. Okay, I was trying to get a dramatic entrance, but this is a review of Gen V out September 29th. It is a spin-off of The Boys, and I'm going to be plucking, fluffing, and just all over your aura. And I want the intention to be about finding your super empowerment, which might be a little bit funny when you think of a spin-off of The Boys. But let's dive in. So Gen V is all about kind of the boys' high school, or rather college. It is a college for superpowered beings in hopes that they can join the Seven. Everybody has powers. It's obviously, Vaughn Enterprises kind of marketing scheme of like, look at these powered up kids, they're so perfect, they're so great, it's so great to have powers. Do you have them? Are your parents injecting you when you're a kid to get them? Look at us. And it takes place around, I believe, 7 to 10 years before the events of The Boys. And I kind of went in very, very open, and I think that's why I liked it so much. I just didn't know what to expect, and it was really, really good. It maintained the raunchiness of The Boys and kind of the social commentary, but not. I wanted to say that when you look at The Boys, one of the things I really love about that series, and you might say I'm crazy, but I did, you could click on subscribe, and I reviewed the morning show and I compared it to Succession, and this feeling that the morning show, one of its failures, even though it is a good show, is that it's not predictive and it's not nuanced or new in how it comments on society. And I think The Boys, like Succession, is one of the most interesting, fascinating pieces of television because it is very predictive. It does kind of tell you what's coming up in terms of how we relate to social media and news media, while at the same time being really nuanced and new on its commentary of how we've been using it, how it has always been used. And Gen V doesn't do that as much. It's not as much social commentary. It really is a spin off of The Boys and kind of delves more into its characters and its plot lines. I think its commentary at best is just how kids grow up to believe that they can be the superheroes that adults are. And then they meet these adults and they realize they're just effed up. And I think in that sense, Gen V might as well be Gen Z. It's trying to display in a very comical, colorful, and outlandish and very violent way, may I add, um, the disappointment of being raised by people that are failing and have failed and just know how to hide it from you. And the feeling that perhaps, how do you react to adults, to your parents, when you realize they were human the whole time, and that presentation of themselves as gods, as superheroes, was to protect them. Maybe it was to protect you. At times it was, but it was also to protect them, and the fact that they didn't always have the answers, that they wanted the best for you without knowing what that was and without knowing whether you even had an idea of what that was. And I think that's the heart of this show, and why I have to say I think The Boys is very much about, like the title, The Boys, the boys hanging out, fun, friendship, violence, craziness. But this kind of felt like there was a level of groundedness, and I think it's because they're young, they're in college, they're trying to just plucking out. Feel those energy shifts. They're trying to find themselves. And I always felt with The Boys, and this is one of the differences, I would say, um, compared to Gen V. The Boys isn't about existentialism. I mean, it has its elements, but these aren't characters that are trying to find, self empowerment and the best version of themselves. And in Gen V, every character, because they're like practically teenagers, is doing that. Marie Moreau, played by Jazz Sinclair, is the protagonist. She has her own tragic storyline, and I don't, it's so weird. By the end of the series, I think she started out as the heart and then everybody became the heart. It was very good at balancing, and in perspective the boys is as well, balancing everybody's storyline so you never felt like you learned or met anybody more than you met the other person. She's roommates with Emma, played by Lizzie Broadway, who her superpower is that she could just shrink down to size, but she has to vomit to do so or overeat. So there's an element of bulimia storyline there. There's also Chance Perdomo, who comes back from the Sabrina series. He's so good. He's just such a talent. And I forget his superpower, but I believe it was like telekinetic, and Jazz was like able to just like mold liquids into very violent weaponry. Um, there's Maddie Phillips as Kate. She can manipulate people, the power of persuasion, and they kind of form this I would say quad of sorts when Golden Boy, Patrick Schwarzenegger, has a, let's just say, a huge debacle because his brother Sam, played by Asa German, I'm reading the IMDb because I always forget names. Um, his brother Sam is, let's just say, Vaughn Industries. Is it Vaughn or Vaught? I always forget. They're having their secrets and they're having their plots, and they don't want Compound V to get out. And these are very astute kids, and they know that they're part of the marketing scheme, and their division is, which I guess in some ways could be very Gen Z commentary. Their their emotional and existential division is, do I join this marketing scheme of the world is great, all these institutional structures don't need to be torn down? Do I join that marketing scheme and as an individual progress? I mean, I may not raise my community, I may not, help the poor classes, but if I'm poor and I get rich, maybe I can be a symbol. You can do it too. And after all, that is progress. One of us did leave and move up from poverty. And I thought that was so interesting, especially in its portrayal of Gen Z and kind of the the gripes that younger generations, Gen Alpha, Zillennials, have with hierarchies, old institutions. This feeling of, do I play into you and hope that I get the best by acting like you've always been the best, or do I take the risk and kind of shake the table and disrupt and embrace that you've always disrupted my life? You've always intervened in my life. And the promise that you will make it better, that there will be justice for all, isn't. I'm waking up to see that that's only going to be for a few lucky individuals, and it's a real risk to take to believe I could be one of them. Because the minute I don't follow the marketing plan, I mean, if you've watched The Boys and you watch this, things happen. So ultimately, I think the cast is really good. I have to say, I was really surprised by Patrick Schwarzenegger's role as Golden Boy. I thought he was excellent, and I kind of wished there was more of him. He is an important character, but he's not the biggest character, and you're going to see why. I'm trying to be non-spoilery. I think I already gave some spoilers. Because I do love spoilers. He was really good, and he kind of becomes this weird, like, I don't know, for not being for he's so central for not being centered. He's like a ghostly heart, he's just there and not there. And I thought his performance was absolutely excellent as somebody who is kind of what I was saying. You play into the marketing schemes of society in hopes that individually you elevate, but then you see that there are people who can't be a part of the marketing scheme, like your own brother, people with disabilities or handicaps or mental health issues that just can't mold to what society wants for them, people that learn differently. And when it's your own family and you see them getting punished while you get rewarded for playing the game, for playing the marketing game, it really does divide you. And it makes you wonder, what is justice? If I move up, if I'm the only member of my community that moves up, what do I owe them versus what do I owe myself? These are really, really interesting questions. And it's so subtle. It's one of those shows like you're gonna binge watch it and then you're gonna say afterwards, wow, that was like, when you think about it, it's much, much deeper. Whereas The Boys is just rah, like messages, action, feelings. This felt a little more quieter, a little more subtle, a little more pensive. Hey, college, right? That's Gen V, out on Amazon Prime, September 29th. I think it's highly, highly worth the watch. And DeAndre Reviews? Check out DeAndre Reviews at all. Yay!